Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today I'm in conversation with Sengezo Tshabangu, who claims to be the interim Secretary General of the Citizens Coalition for Change. If you enjoy this conversation, remember to subscribe, to like, and share. Let's get down to some work. Sengezo Tshabangu, welcome to In Conversation with Trevor.
My pleasure, Uncle Trevor. It's pleasing to be here.
It's a pleasure having you here. So when in the introduction there, Sengezo Tshabangu, I say who claims to be the interim Secretary General of the Citizens Coalition for Change. A number of people are saying you were never elected interim Secretary General. There was never a gathering where you were elected to be the interim Secretary General. What do you say to that?
Well, Trevor, the issues are before court, but I will scratch from the surface. There are so many people who have challenged my authority, challenged my existence. Some, they are even failing to pronounce my name, which is a direct indictment to the people that I represent, to the tribe that I come from. So, yes.
Some are spelling your name with a CH.
Yeah, with a CH. It's unheard of. Yes, there are people who don't know Tshabangu, but these people, I've worked with them for years. So I think it's a direct attack to the region, to the people, to the clan where I come from. So I don't expect that people that I've worked for so many years, they can still misspell my name, pronounce it in an unreasonable fashion. It's unheard of. But well, I'll come back to that. Now, to the point of my appointment, the same process that really appointed President Nelson Chamisa to be the president of the CCC and also to be the presidential candidate is the same process in which I was elected, the strategy of ambiguity. So we'll discuss with these things after the court because they are at the center of our courts. So it would be unfair for me to really discuss those matters.
So you say you are the interim Secretary General as a result of the strategy of ambiguity, strategic ambiguity as it is.
Absolutely.
Do you want to unpack that? What does that mean?
Well, well, you see, we represent the party. We are an offshoot of the MDC Alliance. I sat in the National Council, the National Executive that decided the departure point from the MDC Alliance to the CCC because there was a challenge that we're going to the elections and Douglas Monzora and his team, they'd taken the name. So part of the resolutions was that let's have an election strategy, let's form a political party, let's have a new slogan, let's have a different name altogether, different color. That's what we agreed. We were using the constitution of the MDC Alliance. That's what gave birth. That's the paternity process that gave birth to the CCC that we find ourselves in. But along the way, you realize that that leadership had the likes of Welshman Ncube, we had the likes of Tendai Biti, Kore as the third deputy president, Chibaya and all, you name them. Along the way, the strategy of ambiguity came into play. We had another CCC these people their positions were taken off. You go to a rally, you will have a president of the party sitting on the floor. You will have the president of the party launching the campaign as if he's launching an independent campaign. There was no organic chemistry of the party working together. The organs of the party were dissolved. So there was within the CCC a formation of this structure, which is structureless. I think it's before the court maybe, but that's the surface of it. So we have this kind of an animal, a creature which you don't even understand the head, the tail of it, which is running within the CCC. So that is the strategy of ambiguity that produced the results that we find ourselves in today. That failed to even produce candidates, that produced the flawed election, that produced the result that is still questionable even today, that produced an incomplete electoral process. So it was through this.
But some people would say, Tshabangu, that you're saying the CCC was an offshoot of MDCA. And yet some people say, no, it was a completely different organization. I think Nelson Chamisa has actually pronounced that, no, this is something completely different. It's not related to MDCA. Am I getting things wrong there? Although I must admit that what has happened in the past 3 so years, in particular the past 2 years and last 6 months, has totally confused me. So some of the questions I'm asking are genuinely wanting clarification. Was it a new party? Or is it an offshoot of MDCA?
We are an offshoot of MDCA because what gave birth to this new outfit, it was the Constitution. We registered the Constitution, which we changed and put the CCC, but with the same organs that we were using in the MDC Alliance. So we never came from heaven. We were born by MDC Alliance. There was MDCT. I'll take you through from when we started this party. In 1999, there was a convention where we formed the MDC without a name, without people's face as a symbol, but it was an MDC, which comprised of the churches,
labor union.
Yeah. I'm a student of labor. We are the people who formed the MDC. We are the umbilical cord of the MDC. We ran with MDC until 2005, where we started to question the leadership of Morgan Tsvangirai, the late, may his soul rest in peace. There was no collective decision process. We went to the Senate in 2005. There was a debate, and that caused the split, where Professor Welshman Ncube walked away from the MDC, and he remained MDC, and then we formed MDCT. To differentiate between us and Welshman Ncube. So that was a departure point, the first split of the MDC. We moved on, and we had a caveat that we are MDCT. We identify ourselves with the leader, not with the constitution, with the values, with the principles that we had really, where we were formed from. Then in 2014, the same dark cloud that visited us in 2005 visited again us in 2014. We had Tendai Biti walking away again, forming a PDP. Morgan Tsvangirai remained with the MDCT. Fast forward, we brought these forces together: the MDC, Green, PDP. We formed MDC Alliance. We went to the election in 2018 under the MDC Alliance banner. We contested the election. The elections didn't produce the desired result. Morgan, somehow, he fell ill and he was not in a position to continue with these duties. He created this mess that we find ourselves in today. He appointed President Nelson Chamisa and Engineer Mzuri into the mainstream of the MDC as the vice president. Yet we had vice president who was elected through a congress, which was Dr. Trevor Ncube. There were fissures there. To a certain extent, that Trevor Ncube was almost bent in a hut in Buhera during the funeral of the late Morgan Tsvangirai. So that was MDC Alliance. That was the journey. And there was Douglas Monzora, who claimed that the MDC Alliance was his, and we are MDC Alliance. So it was difficult for us because that's what the convention of political parties. So there was nothing like MDC Alliance. So it was a covenant of the political parties coming together. So we had a problem, to defining who is the MDC Alliance. So given those matrices, then we decided that let's form a political party. We ran an election under MDC Alliance. President Chamisa ran as the presidential candidate of the MDC Alliance. We had the structures, organic structures from district, provincial to national level. And if you compare the results, Mr. Trevor, in 2018, were quite a reasonable figures. That was when we reached a 2-point-something million mark that we have never really reached before. So we formed CCC from MDC Alliance. So we are an offshoot of MDC Alliance. So there's nothing we can say which can disassociate ourselves from MDC Alliance. We are MDC. It's just a change of name, change of character, a change of color, change of logo, change of symbol. That's what defines us from MDC Alliance. But our umbilical code, our DNA, we are MDC.
So you've been alive to these issues all along. I get the sense you've actually you're deep into it, into them. Why now? Why have you decided to raise these issues now?
Well,
what are you trying to fix now?
We claim that we are an alternative. And the reason why we are in this politics is that there is an agreement that ZANU PF has deviated from the principles and values of liberation struggle. We've thought that as an alternative, we need to complete the unfinished business of the liberation struggle. But we cannot do that without a constitution. We cannot do that without a collective decision-making process. I'm coming from labor. We cannot do that without debating and exhausting these issues. We cannot do that without having a debate, a thorough debate on issues, fundamental issues for that matter, be it policy, be it political mantra. So we find ourselves in a situation that we can't replace ZANU PF. We can't see the errors of ZANU PF, yet we are doing worse than ZANU PF. Under Robert Gabriel Mugabe, we never witnessed a situation where people can operate without a constitution, where people can go into a Politburo and Robert Gabriel Mugabe make a decision without really having this decision discussed at the cabinet. Even if he had a theory of a policy that he wants to push, he will put it in for a discussion and debated.
But still, my question is why now? Why now?
The elections are gone.
Yeah.
Done and dusted.
Yes.
So we rather put our house in order before 2028. We should not wait for 2028 and raise these issues. Let's raise them now so that we build a force, so that we do the introspective and see the gaps that we can close as a movement and move forward. Pick ourselves, look at the election. How did we lose the elections? Are there issues that we're doing right? Are there issues that we're not doing right? Are we off the path from when we started this movement? What are those issues? And these are the issues that we are raising now so that By the time we get to 2028, we have got an oiled machine, which is a movement, which is an alternative, which is ready to take the political
yet
path.
People say, Tshabangu, that what you are doing is essentially weakening the opposition. What's your view on that? That what you're not strengthening CCC, you are weakening CCC. What's your view on that?
In my understanding, a constructive criticism strengthens the institution. Issues like constitution, issues like debate, they really strengthen the criticism. Even in a family setup, Uncle Trevor, you have got your kids. You need to allow them to express themselves. It can't be you and your wife alone. You are the model of the family. We need to transport that into the institution, organizations that we lead. So if there's no culture of debate, then we go back to what Robert Gabriel Mugabe and Joshua Nkomo fought against the imperialism.
But then the issue, Sengezo, is that people are saying you should have raised this issue before the elections, because raising these issues now is clouding the issue of the stolen election. What's your view on that?
I don't think so. A problem is a problem. It doesn't matter how you respond to it and when do you raise it. Because if you are not feeling well as a person, you can't wait and say, no, I'll go when I get the money at the end of the month to see the doctor. If you've got a problem, you see the doctor there and there so that you get attention, you get attended before that problem really explodes. So it is critical that from soon after the election, because this is critical. How did we lose the election, Uncle Trevor? It's because of the strategy of ambiguity. We didn't fill the polling agents. We didn't train the polling agents. We had the money to do that. But somehow the criminals around the president squandered that money.
Wow. I'm going to hold you there. We're going to continue in the next, we take a break here. Yeah. And when we come back, we're going to go to the criminals around the president and also the allegation, Tshabangu, that you are being used by ZANU PF. So viewers at home, don't go away. See you on the other side.
They have got the audacity to say, I am ZANU, yet I am the victim of the same ZANU PF that they're talking about.
Welcome back to our conversation with Sengezo Tshabangu, who claims to be the interim Secretary General of the Citizens Coalition for Change. Before we took the break there, Tshabangu, you were going into saying there's need to make an analysis of why you lost, why CCC lost. And you think this is the time to do it. And you are making allegations that there are people around Nelson Chamisa who are stealing money. And in any case, you actually say this when you approached about why it was easy for you to open an account at CBZ. And you said you are now being targeted. And yet all along there's been people, to quote you said, it's normal when criminals around President Chamisa open multiple accounts in Harare. Have things been that bad that people around Nelson Chamisa have been opening multiple accounts? Are you alleging corruption around people around Nelson Chamisa? Is that what's happening?
Corruption is an understatement, Trevor, because you can't have an institution which does not account to anybody. You can't have an institution that does not have the office bearers. So definitely under those circumstances, then corruption would be the order of the day. So yes.
Do we have an amount of how much has been stolen at all?
We don't know how much we receive from our friends in diaspora. How much do we receive from our friends locally? There are people, this struggle of opposition has been supported by The diaspora is being supported by
the strategy of strategic ambiguity doesn't have a strategic ambiguous treasurer. There is no treasurer?
There is no treasurer. You can't trace the amount, whether you have got this amount you received from so and so, how did that amount was spent, who were the recipient. So there is no order. Even a burial society, Uncle Trevor has the constitution, it has the office bearers, there is someone who keeps the books, there is someone who report in every meeting that we have collected so much, we have spent so much. That is not there in the opposition.
But my point, I'm going to push you back, Tshabangu, and say, why did you not raise these issues before the election?
We were going to be the enemies of progress if we had raised these issues, because people were going to say, we raised these issues on the eve of an election. Now that we have lost the election, we dampened the spirits of the people to vote for us. So we waited that let's wait, and the election, when it's over, we raise these issues. So definitely, I wouldn't be not really sitting in this platform if I had raised these issues before the election, because I would have really subverted the will of the people.
But some people push back right now and say, what you're doing right now, it's subverting the will of the people. I've seen people protesting with placards to say that what you're doing, you're stealing and undermining the will of the people. I mean, how do you push back on that?
From where I'm standing, and from where we started, I really put the same people who put the placards before, whether they will have the energy, the zeal, the capacity to carry them now, because we've unraveled the things. We have pushed this strategy of ambiguity to even produce the constitution, a constitution which I have never seen in Africa. I think the last time I heard of a name appended in a constitution was in Malawi, in Kambuzupanda. Even Robert Gabriel Mugabe never, as popular as he was, he never attempted to put his name in the national constitution, to put his name in the party constitution. So there is a young generation, criminals around the president, who want to make him the worst detector. What reflection are we going to be in the international community, into the SADC, in the people, in the business community, in the academics at large? We produce one of the best academics world over. What are they going to say now? Those people who had the support on us, are they going to carry their crosses and say, yes, they will put their last money on President Nelson Chamisa, on CCC, yet the criminals around the president have crafted this kind of a constitution, and he has appended his signature on it.
Is he still your president?
He remained my president. It doesn't matter. Even if he disowns me today, he disowns me tomorrow, he remains my president. We came a long way together, but he cannot run away from his shadow. The more he discredits me, the more I pin on him, so that one day...
Tell me, have you had... What moments do you remember dealing with Nelson Chamisa that could give people the sense that you know each other?
Well, Nelson, President Chamisa, he was the chairperson of the National Executive for Youth Movement. He was deputized by the late Thamsanqa Mahlangu, and I was in that executive. He is the one who replaced Len Mojongwe as the youth chairperson. So my politics with him started that long. Fast forward, when I was elected provincial chairperson for Mat North under MDC.
What year was that?
It was 2008, 2007, running to 2008. President Nelson Chamisa was the information secretary, was Secretary for Information, Publicity. And we are, in particular me, I was his campaign manager when he wanted to be the national organizing secretary. I campaigned for Nelson Chamisa, then as the national organizing secretary, and he won at Papa Fields. He is the same person who changed the constitution of the MDC. Because when we were the chairpersons, we were reporting to the national chairman, who then was Love Momoyo. And then he said, no, let's have an amendment. The national chairperson, the provincial chairpersons, they can't report to the national chairperson. They should report to the national organizer, because in terms of the constitution, he is the one who presides over our elections. And then the constitution was amended that we report to the national organizing secretary. So we were having meetings, reporting day to day. I was reporting to President Nelson Chamisa on the affairs of the provincial, on the provincial affairs of Matabele North. So there is no way that today the same person for all these years, he will stand and climb on top of the mountain and say he doesn't know Tshabangu.
So you're saying he's lying then?
He doesn't know Tshabangu. One. Two, he doesn't even pronounce my name properly. It's Tshabangu. Yet I have been working with him. So
why is he doing that, Tshabangu?
Because they are carrying a narrative that I'm an imposter. So if he associates himself with me, how then do you associate yourself with an imposter? So if he says the narrative is an imposter, then the only way is to say, I don't know this person. But the history is there. The records are there. People know.
Let me take you to a place where I would want to know. So he is the president of the party.
Yes.
Did you have a situation where you sat down with him as the president of CCC and you as the interim secretary general? Has there been a moment where you acknowledged that position prior to what you started doing?
Absolutely. The reason why President Nelson Chamisa, to date, he has never put in affidavit in court that he doesn't know me. It's a clear indication that we communicate. We may have disagreements here and there on how...
You communicate in your capacity as interim secretary general?
Yes, yes. Why would he not really put an affidavit and say, no, I don't know this person, I don't know his position in a court of law, but he will go in a public opinion and seek relevance in a public opinion, yet there is a court of law which is going to educate and put the record straight. We have got a pending issue. These issues that we are raising, Uncle Trevor, they are there in the court. He hasn't even put an affidavit. So we are in communication.
Tell me, you are in communication. That's interesting. Tell me, were you part of this strategic ambiguity?
I was never part of this strategy of ambiguity because I refused to be part of it. Part of my refusal was that I even signed for the double candidates in Bulawayo. Because I said, no, this is not going to work. We have got mayors, even today, who were born out of a process which was undemocratic. I'll give you an example. In Bulawayo, David Coulthard is the mayor. I have got a highly respect for David Coulthard for the work that he did during the inclusive government. And the public sentiment in Bulawayo, they agree that Coulthard can change the Bulawayo city because it's a sad city. If you go to Bulawayo, it says if you are going to Mrambinda, you are going to even to Cholocho, it's no longer have that umfu that it had. But David Coulthard lost the election, primary election, but he is there.
Why?
Because the reason why we didn't recall David Coulthard, we had to look at the sentiment, public sentiment in Bulawayo, that regardless that David Coulthard was not elected through a democratic process, but the people of Bulawayo have got faith in him. So we said, let's give the people of Bulawayo a chance. Let's allow him to prove to to the people of Bulawayo that he can bring the change that he so wishes that he can deliver under the circumstances. So that's the reason why David Coulthard is still standing today.
Tshabangu, what are the reasons why? First of all, let me just back up and say, how many people have been recalled now? And what is it that you're trying to fix? How many have been recalled?
Well, I think we have got about 20-something. Well, I don't have the figures of the figures offhand. But I think what is important is what do we want to achieve?
Yes.
We want to send a message. A message, this message is to the criminals who are the people who created these elected officials. We are sending a message to the communities that when you vote, you need to vote for the people that you elected. You need to rise. There is no one who is bigger than Zimbabwe. There is no one who is bigger than the national constitution of Zimbabwe. No matter how popular that person may be, no matter how you are yearning for change, the change is not going to come as long as you don't do the basic things right. So this is a message to the people of the Zimbabwe that in as much as you are yearning for change, change is not going to come tomorrow because there are flaws that you have committed. There are flaws that the party has committed. So we need to reconstruct the movement, reconfigure the movement so that we become an alternative. Look, the days when Morgan Tsvangirai was alive, you will feel, you will smell, you will feel the change, that the change is coming. We were closer to it in 2008. But now people are going into an election. There is no value because they know that this election is not going to change my life. The election is not going to change the status quo. The election is not going to change the political narrative. This election is not going to take over the state power because you need to attain the political power so that before you get the state power. So we're far off in terms of attaining the political power so that we can transmit ourselves to take over and challenge the status of the...
Some people, Tshabangu, say what you are doing is actually, we have said this before, but that you are weakening CCC and you are handing over the constituencies where you are recalling people to ZANU PF. That in any case, it looks like you're working hand in glove with ZANU PF because you are aiding their target for a 2/3 majority. What do you say to that?
ZANU PF has controlled 2/3 majority since independence. So there is nothing that we can hide ourselves from, that if ZANU PF attain 2/3 majority and then we can't live, we can't operate as if we have never operated before. I'm just trying to put this to the table so that it's not something that if today we have stopped ZANU PF from attaining 2/3 majority and whatever we're doing, we are giving ZANU PF 2/3 majority. No, absolutely not. The constituencies that we have created by elections, we have dominated these constituencies before. And there is no way ZANU PF is going to win these constituencies before. But however, there are some constituencies that were won by ZANU PF. In politics, they swing. One election, the constituencies belongs to ZANU PF, then it swings back to the opposition. That's the nature of politics. But I don't think that we have donated the 2/3 majority. We are going to fight so that ZANU PF doesn't get the 2/3 majority. And but we know if they get 2/3 majority...
So you're not working with ZANU PF? You're not working for ZANU PF?
I have never been to ZANU, and I will never be to ZANU. My family were never ZANU. But the people today who claim that I'm ZANU, their families are in ZANU. When they were born, and maybe if we were of the same age, they were supporting ZANU. Because there was not CCC then, there was ZAPU and ZANU. So they were ZANU. They were schooled by the ZANU. They were educated by the ZANU. But they have got the audacity to say, I am ZANU. Yet I am the victim of the same ZANU PF that they're talking about. If you look today, they are wealthy. Some of them were sent by ZANU. Their mothers were sent to scholarship by the ZANU. They are the beneficiaries of ZANU PF. So
some people have raised on that point. Some people have played a video where you to point to the fact that you are supporting ZANU PF, where you spoke and said the state was responsible for Kukuraundi, not ZANU PF. And they're using that to say you are working for ZANU PF. You're defending ZANU PF, saying ZANU PF was not responsible for Kukuraundi. What's your response to that? Well,
there's a thin line between the state and the governing and the party that parachuted that power. So I still stand by those facts. I know that it was ZANU which captured the state. But it was the state that orchestrated that mission. It was the people that are at the helm of the leadership today were there at the helm of the state when this genocide was orchestrated. So I still maintain that the people who were involved, the people that killed 20,000 people in Matabeleland, is the state. ZANU PF was not there. It was behind. If it was ZANU PF in the public domain, Joshua Nkomo wouldn't have really signed the Unity Accord. But Joshua Nkomo signed the Unity Accord on the basis that he wanted to quell, he wanted to stop the war with ZANU PF, because he had seen that the state was so vicious that it can continue killing, eliminating the people of Matabeleland. So I still maintain I am entitled to my views.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you, people are saying there are some big weights, political heavyweights working with you. And I would really love to know who also the criminals around your president, who these people are. So please don't go away. Join us on the other side.
President Nelson Chamisa is captured. He is captured by these criminals, but we will name and shame them after the court processes.
Greetings. My name is Trevor Ncube, host of In Conversation with Trevor, Zimbabwe's most engaging conversational show. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. We've brought before your screens change makers from arts, business, and politics, and from the region. Please join our growing community of viewers. Subscribe, like, and share. Welcome back to our conversation with Sengezo Tshabangu, who claims to be the interim Secretary General of the Citizens Coalition for Change. Talking of claims, Tshabangu, Albert Mhlanga claims to be your deputy.
Well,
do you know him?
I know Albert. He is a brother to me. We have been together into trenches. But well, anybody at this stage can claim to be with you. But I think what matters is those claims legitimate. So the claim that he is the deputy interim secretary is far-fetched. Because even in our court papers, he is not cited as the Deputy Secretary General.
Why is he making that claim now?
Everyone wants to associate with themselves with something that is moving, something that has got an attraction.
So he's supporting you?
He is supporting me, but I think he's overexcited.
Okay.
That his support, then he can claim the position.
So, I'm picking up reports that a lot of CCC MPs and councillors are calling you, pleading with you to not recall them. Is that true?
I have met the parliamentary caucus. They came to Bulawayo. We've discussed and we've made some understanding. We've chatted the way forward. So I've given them guarantees that we will work together. We will make this opposition parliament as a fighting zone. So we are not going to disengage.
So you've become very powerful.
It is the position that I carry that is powerful. It is not an individual. It is not me, but it is the position that I carry that makes things work.
Are you on your own? Or the allegation is that there are political heavyweights within the CCC who are working with you behind the scenes? The allegation has been, Tendai has issued a statement saying he's not working with you, and that he couldn't speak on behalf of Welshman Ncube, who has also been linked to working with you. Are these two gentlemen working with you? Who is working with you?
I'm working with the party. I'm consulting the party leadership. I'm consulting the necessary, or maybe I'm consulting the organs of the party, the citizens. And these are the people that keeps me moving every day. So an individual is not, doesn't represent the movement. There are sentiments where we will disagree on how we should move forward with the people that you have mentioned, but it doesn't mean that they don't support what I'm doing. They may make the political pronouncements wherever they are. I'm not at liberty to speak for them. But whatever I'm doing, has got the grassroots support. It has got the national support. So I'm comfortable with whatever.
It has the grassroots support and national support in an organization that doesn't have structures. I mean, how help me understand that.
We have the structures, but we have got this wapusa in the movement, which does not have the structures. We have the structures. If people claim that we don't have interim secretary general in the CCC, they don't refer to the CCC, which was an offshoot from the MDC Alliance, which was structural. They are referring to this structureless organization within. But I'm sure the court is going to educate that and make clear that we represent the CCC, which is organic, CCC, which has got a constitution, CCC, which has got leadership.
You are pleading for a return to the MDCA structures and constitution from the Gweru meeting. Am I right? Is that what you're asking for?
Not necessarily, but that's a roadmap. But all what we seek in this conversation is that when we set in January, and announced the birth of the CCC, we set as the MDC Alliance executive. Because CCC, there was no dissolution that we have dissolved ourselves from the MDC Alliance, but there was a resolution that based on the optics, based on the circumstances around, we cannot continue as MDC Alliance. So therefore, let's form a political party. So I am convinced that we are an offshoot of MDC, and we are the CCC that had Job Sekala as the deputy chairperson. Job Sekala, who chaired that meeting that gave the birth to the CCC that I find myself as the interim secretary general.
You also talk, as you did a while back, about the criminals around Nelson Chamisa, which almost sounds like the ZANU PF claim of removing Robert Mugabe because there were criminals around them. I mean, that has escaped me. Who are these criminals? The people out there, I'm sure, deserve to know who these criminals who own Nelson Chamisa are.
President Nelson Chamisa is captured. He is captured by these criminals, but will name and shame them after the court processes.
Wow.
He is not on his own. He is not making collective decisions. These are the people who are writing constitution for him, who are making these pronouncements through him. So he's not on his own. He is being used. Look, we have set the tone. We have set the agenda. I'll give you an example. We talked about the constitutionalism. 2 days down the line, the criminals produced a constitution with President Chamisa's name in it. We talked about the engagement, and the criminals around the president talked about disengagement of parliament. We carried the day. Members of parliament went to parliament after serving their suspension, and they're in parliament today. We spoke about the national dialogue, that we will engage ZANU PF. President Nelson Chamisa responded on our script that he wants to engage President Mnangagwa. So everything we do, we set the agenda, and he follows, and these criminals will really direct him and follow what we have said. So we are confident that we represent the movement that was born through a democratic process.
So you're saying Nelson Chamisa is captured. These people that have captured him, are they CC members or they're members of ZANU PF for the state?
It's a mixed bag. They are members of CCC who enjoy the proximity. They are proximity to the president, they don't want anybody near President Nelson Chamisa. They don't want any conversation around President Nelson Chamisa. And there is a counterintelligence which will give him a dummy information, which will give him heaven, which will give him the roadmap that is not even there, that you can't even find the signs and signposts. These are the people that have captured Nelson Chamisa. So these are the people who have opened the bank accounts. You spoke about the bank accounts. There are multiple bank accounts that have been opened under the name CCC. And today, the same people will challenge me that why did I leave Bulawayo to come and open a bank account in Harare? Is Harare not in Zimbabwe? So am I not entitled? Because today I have challenged them that, yes, I have the constitutional mandate. Yes, I have the constitutional right to open the account on behalf of the organization. How about these accounts that have been opened by these criminals? David Coulthard, when we formed the CCC, a week later, he drove to Harare to facilitate to open a bank account. And the criminals told him that, no, we have opened the bank account. And then David Coulthard was saying, how on earth can that account be opened without me as the Treasurer General, without my knowledge? But the account was opened. He drove back to Bulawayo. The account is there. And that account was opened under the Chief of Staff. Where on earth do we have a Chief of Staff controlling a party account? So we will reveal these things. We will reveal the charge sheet. We will reveal all these intricacies that have been happened over the years.
So clarify for me here again. The allegation is the people you have recalled from Matabeleland, some of them were imposed. Is it the same thing with people you've recalled from the other parts of the country?
We have recalled people who have ceased to be the members of the CCC that I've spoken about when I started.
Using what measure? What are you using?
The Constitution, because we have a Constitution which we
but what I'm saying, what determines that they are no longer members?
Because if they join...
Tshabangu decides that they're no longer members.
No. It is the party.
Okay.
It is the party that decides. If your actions, if your pronouncements does not respect the Constitution, you deviate from the Constitution that we have submitted to ZEC, that we have submitted to Parliament, that we have submitted to the local government, then you expel yourself. So we were fulfilling the constitutional mandate. We are doing this thing, deriving the power from the Constitution that we've submitted, which is existing.
There's a hint of tribalism. Even when we started, I could sense that you're not being respected. And I did say that people are spelling your name with a CH. Do you think that's part of the problem that we're dealing with here? Tribalism within CCC?
It is. It is at a greater scale.
That's sad, isn't it?
It is really sad. I have never, even during my career as an opposition politics, been so threatened because the issues that you raise, people, they put the tag, who is this person? They are interested on the theory is that who has raised these issues? Where is this person coming from? They are not confronting the issues that I raise. So it's scary. I never experienced this under Morgan Tsvangirai. I never experienced this under the leadership of late Gibson Sibanda. Even in ZANU PF, with all its ills, they will still respect the people of Matabeleland. Today we have Professor Ncube, an appointee, a non-constituency member of parliament, the first minister of finance for the people of Matabeleland. We have Thembiso Nyoni, the minister of industry and commerce. We have got this newly guy who was elected, a nobody, but is a deputy minister of education. So ZANU, with its ills, they still respect the people of Matabeleland. But in the institution that where I find myself in, they are threatened by our existence. It's scary that we don't even have the protection from President Nelson Chamisa. It's as if we are coming from another country, yet we are the people. Whenever they want to do their politics, it is Bulawayo, it is Matabeleland. The support base of every opposition movement is derived on Matabeleland. President Nelson Chamisa, since he took over the reins, he has lost Maswingo in his own backyard.
Why do you think?
Wait, Uncle Trevor. He has lost the Mashona land. But the people of Bulawayo, the people of Matabeleland have continued with their support. But at the end of the day, he is going to go and address in my home area and say he doesn't know Tshabangu, where he enjoys the support. It's scary.
Why?
These are the criminals. Like I'm saying, he is being driven by these criminals so that, in fact, you may ask, where is Welshman Ncube in all this? Where is Tendai in all this? People with a political clout, people with international clout, people who are credible. You can walk in United States of America, you mention the name of Tendai Biti, you mention the name of Welshman Ncube, the doors will open. But the same people, ZANU PF is consolidating. They are bringing in Joyce Mujuru, they are bringing in Phekelezela Mphoko, they are redefining, reconsolidating themselves as a political party, but we are disintegrating. And then we expect that today, even if we were to win the presidential, if we had won the presidential vote, based on the criteria of the members of parliament that we have produced in parliament, who could be the ministers in that parliament? Who could be, can we run a cabinet using the crop of the members of parliament that was produced by this strategy of ambiguity? So now, it's so sad.
I hear you, but I'm going to push that back to you. If it's so sad, does not reflect on Nelson Chamisa's leadership? If it does, why do you still support him as your president?
He is the vehicle. He is the vehicle, regardless of the shortcomings. We are saying, hear us. These are the issues. This time around, we are going to say them out boldly. We are prepared to die. I'm prepared to die. Even if today they kill me, but they cannot kill the idea. I represent this idea. Herbert Chitepo was killed. Ningita Mangena lost his life. Lockout Masuku lost his life. I'm the footprint of those people, heroes that walked through this journey. So I'm prepared to die. But this time around, we are not going to walk out because we have walked out before when we have these disagreements. This time, we're not going to walk out. If ever these criminals decide to walk out, they will walk out and will remain with the institution.
Are you concerned about your security?
It's a cause of concern because I get these threats every day. It's as if I've killed someone, but I'm raising fundamental issues, values, principles, and somehow my head is put on the block. So the threats are a daily life. I'm used to them.
Let's go. It's sad, isn't it, that you are threatened for speaking out, but I suppose people are feeling done by what you're doing. You know, you're taking their votes. And they're uncomfortable about that. You have played a role before in getting Welshman Ncube and Morgan Tsvangirai to sit and talk. Talk to me about that role that you played.
Well, you remember even in 2005 when there was that disagreement, political disagreement.
Over the Senate
thing. Welshman Ncube went and he continued under MDC, and we continued under MDCT. Maybe before I get there. In the National Council, which was presided over by Morgan Tsvangirai, we had this kind of a dilemma that we find ourselves in, that we've got two MDCs. How would people differentiate? It was on the 2008. How would people differentiate that we are MDC, that is led by Morgan Tsvangirai, and there's Welshman Ncube, who had changed the color to green. But on the ballot, we're using the same symbol. In that National Council, I am the one who proposed the face of President Nelson Chamisa, President Tsvangirai, to be put on the palm. And I was seconded by Manikaland. And it stood the day. We went to an election having that face on the palm. And we won the election. Fast forward, I created the relationship, even if there was Welshman Ncube and Morgan Tsvangirai, but I was the glue between them. I brought them together in 2013. At Holiday Inn, that was before, it was not 2013, but before 2013, Gibson Spanda was there, Priscilla Msingarayamba was there, Dulini was there, and Morgan was there. And Morgan said, Tshabangu, chair the meeting. I chaired the meeting. That meeting was culminated to a dialogue which was later on chaired by Professor Rapotopoulos.
Yeah.
So it was me. Fast forward, The MDC Alliance that people talk about, Uncle Trevor, it was my brainchild. If Welshman Ncube wants to be honest and tell the people, the public, one day, Tendai, so is Tendai BT, so is Timber, Innocent Jakonda, it was my brainchild. I am the one who brought Tendai, Welshman Ncube together to form MDC Alliance with Morgan Tsvangirai. I was involved and I chaired that meeting. We called MDC Alliance. Fast forward, the initiatives. We could not be in this situation today that we're talking about disputed election. There was an initiative. You know, President Mbeki initiated a dialogue in Zimbabwe and it failed. Ours was close. It moved more than what Mbeki achieved. I created a national dialogue. I brought ZANU PF and they were represented by Patrick Chinamasa, and the MDC Alliance was represented by Welshman Ncube, Professor, and Timber to the dialogue, chaired by Gordon Moyo. But the fact that initiative, soon after Mbeki, sought that let's have a pre-election pact such that the winner doesn't take all. So such that the loser is incorporated, whether in an inclusive government, the loser can hand over. I mean, the winner can incorporate with the loser and form some sort of an arrangement of moving forward. It was killed on the last minute because criminals around President thought that this initiative is coming from Matebeleland. The criminals around the president suggested to Welshman Ncube that Welshman Ncube, you rather retire from these negotiations and hand over to Innocent Jakonda to continue negotiating because you are far, you are from Bulawayo. And the Welsh response was, this is not my first time to be in this dialogue. I was in the dialogue. I produced the Karipa document. I was there in the inclusive government running 2008. I was staying in Bulawayo. So if you don't want me, then you rather tell me that you don't want me. But my location point of Lokozen cannot really be the question. So that initiative, Uncle Trevor,
it sounds like there's a lot of stuff we need to surface here, Tshabangu. Lots of stuff. Wow. I'm not going to let you go. I mean, I want us to go on, but you brought some books here, and would like to hear what books you're recommending. I mean, you've unburdened a lot of very painful stuff for us as a nation, and I must ask you this. With all that you've said, with all that you know, with where we are right now, as briefly as possible, what's the way out for Zimbabwe? Not for Nelson Chamisa, not for CC, not for ZANU PF. What's the way out for us as a people?
The way out, Uncle Trevor, is to pick ourselves, dust ourselves, and accept that the elections are beyond us, with its flaws, with its challenges. We need to say, let's appreciate what we have and move forward. And the moving forward is let's have a dialogue, national dialogue. We can't be, this country is in a disaster mode. It needs a unit of purpose. It needs a leaf of engagement where people, regardless of their political affiliations, can sit down and reconstruct this country. and put their brains, put whatever they have, so that we can uplift the people's lives and change the people's lives. It doesn't matter. Even if we're leaking who's from the elections, we can still limp and say, let's go to the national table.
Wow.
Screaming.
I like that. I'm going to stop you there because that's a hopeful note. That's a hopeful note. We need each other. I'm going to ask you now to share a couple of books that you've read with our book-loving audience there. You brought some books. What books would you want to recommend that you've read? Sengezo Tshabangu.
Well, the conversation with Nelson Mandela, they are so refreshing. The life story of Nelson Mandela, how he...
The Long Walk to Freedom.
Long Walk to Freedom. There are episodes that when you read this book, you really see yourself shedding tears. The life that Mandela lived is an inspiration to the young generation. The life that Winnie Madikizela Mandela played when the husband was jailed for 27 years, it will really inspire women out there that they need to come and play the part in the politics. Without women, they are the majority. We need to be they need to be promoted and right through, and with women in the leadership positions, I think they will bring the sanity in our politics. And then there's this the civilization alternative by John Tyson. It's a book which represents the old order, the new age. It's a combination of the two. That is it the time that the old order should really hand over to the new order, or the new order and the old order should really work together. But the new order is saying, I think we need to be given the tools to move forward. And then the old order is asking, are the tools enough? Are you trained enough to take over the reins and the lead? So these are two books that inspire me on every day. I read them every time.
You know, I'm persuaded to ask you, Tshabangu, do you think that you are misunderstood?
The narrative is changing because we had created somehow a hype that when one is popular, you can't challenge anybody who is popular, because if you challenge him, you are challenging the 2 million people and beyond. And then we did not take time to create an institution that for that person to be popular and that popularity to be sustained, it needs organs of the party, it needs institution. So today it may be a myth, it may die because it's not supported. So I was misunderstood from that perspective, because people, they believe that it is the face of an individual that carries the day, but it is not the institution that carries the day. But it's changing.
Okay.
The narrative is changing. People, I can't walk in town without having people coming for selfie photos and people urging me that, look, what we are doing, we never expected that there's somebody who would really raise these issues under the circumstances. So we salute you, we urge you that continue unpacking these things, continue unraveling these things. You have our support. These are some of the things that keeps me moving, regardless of the dangers that are indicating on my side shows, that are indicating maybe behind, rear, and moving forward. The dangers will always be there, But what is important, Uncle Trevor, is to take a risk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for agreeing. I said when you came in that I doubted you'd come. I thought you would not want to come and sit with me and have this conversation. I think what I would say is that some of us who love democracy are against personality cults. Some of us who love democracy believe that all organizations should have constitutions, should have structures, should be accountable. Some of us who lived under Robert Mugabe and fought Robert Mugabe believe that dictatorship starts in a small way and grows. And that as Zimbabweans, we should learn the lesson. And that lesson is we should not worship human beings. We should put our trust in constitutions. And democracy is about accountability and transparency. So thank you for agreeing to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Allow me to turn now on to our viewers who are all over the world to say thank you for your support. Remember, we are a weekly show. We are out on Mondays, every Monday at 7 a.m. Central African time. To ensure that you don't miss out on any of these quality conversations, I invite you to subscribe and then like and share. We've gone a step further, by the way, and created a website where our podcast sit rather. So visit our website for your listening pleasure. All our content sit there. Until next time, cheers to you all.